Right now, while you are watching this, Earth is being bombarded by high-energy particles from the sun. A historic geomagnetic storm is hitting our planet at this very moment, and what happens in the next 12 hours could affect millions of Americans from coast to coast. For the first time in over 2 decades, we are experiencing an S4 solar radiation storm. The last time we saw anything like this was Halloween of 2003. That is 23 years ago. And here is what makes this moment so critical. Nearly the entire United States could witness something extraordinary tonight. The northern lights, typically visible only in Alaska and far northern states, may stretch as far south as Florida. But before you think this is just a beautiful light show, there is something you absolutely need to understand. This storm is already causing real-world disruptions. Radio blackouts are being reported near the poles right now. Aviation systems are being affected. Satellites orbiting above us are facing interference. And GPS systems that you rely on every single day could experience problems. Here is the shocking part. Passengers flying over areas like Greenland or near the North and South Poles at this very moment could be receiving ionizing radiation. That means there is a potential long-term health risk, including increased cancer risk, for anyone in those flight paths while this solar storm continues. This is not a drill. This is happening right now. So what exactly is a geomagnetic storm, and why should you care? Think of it this way. The sun just threw a massive tantrum, and Earth is directly in its path. Solar particles and protons have been accelerated by a magnetic shock wave, and they are slamming into our planet's magnetic field as we speak. This will continue for at least the next 24 hours, possibly longer. We are currently at a G4 geomagnetic storm level. That is the second highest level possible. But here is where things get really interesting. There is a possibility, a real possibility, that this could escalate to a G5 storm. If that happens, we are talking about one of the most extreme space weather events in decades, the kind of event that gets written about in history books. Now, I know what you are thinking. Will I actually be able to see the northern lights tonight? The answer is your chances are higher than they have been in 23 years. But whether you see them depends on 3 critical factors. First, where you live. Second, what time you look. And third, whether clouds will be in your way. Let me break this down for you because timing is everything tonight. The best viewing window will be between 9 post-meridiem and 1 AM. That is when the storm activity is expected to peak. If you miss this window, you might miss the show entirely. Here is what a G4 storm means for different parts of the country. If you live in the northern plains, the northeast, or the Pacific Northwest, you are in the prime viewing zone. We are talking about overhead auroras. That means the lights will be directly above you, dancing across the entire sky. This is the kind of experience people travel to Iceland or Norway to see, and it could be happening right in your backyard tonight. But even if you are further south, do not count yourself out. If you are in Oklahoma, Tennessee, or similar latitudes, you should be able to see a northern aurora glow on the horizon. It will not be overhead, but it will still be visible to the naked eye if you get away from city lights. Now here is something fascinating. If you live even further south, in places like northern Florida near Jacksonville, Dallas, Houston, or anywhere along that latitude, you might not see anything with your naked eye. But, and this is important, if you take out your phone, set the camera to a high exposure or night mode setting, and you are in a dark area away from light pollution, your phone's camera could capture the northern lights even when your eyes cannot. Technology is giving us superpowers tonight. But what if this escalates to a G5 storm? This is where things get truly extraordinary. A G5 event would push that overhead aurora zone much further south. We could be looking at overhead auroras as far south as Oklahoma, Tennessee, and North Carolina. The northern glow line would extend down to Georgia, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and possibly New Orleans. And the camera viewing line, it could go all the way into Mexico. In a G5 scenario, literally the entire lower 48 states, including all of Florida down to Miami, would be able to capture the northern lights with a camera. When was the last time that happened? You have to go back to May of 2003 during the last major solar maximum. Most of you watching this have never experienced anything like what tonight could bring. Now, let me give you the weather picture, because even the most intense geomagnetic storm in the world will not help you if clouds are blocking your view. Right now, high pressure is dominating most of the country. That is excellent news. High pressure means clear skies, and clear skies mean better viewing conditions. However, there are some problem areas we need to discuss. The Great Lakes and Northeast are dealing with a low-pressure system passing through. This is bringing some cloud cover and snow to parts of that region. If you are in areas affected by this system, your viewing chances are reduced but not eliminated. Weather systems move and you might get breaks in the clouds. There is also some cloud cover moving in from Canada into the northern plains. By tonight, areas in Montana and the western parts of North Dakota might see reduced visibility. Parts of Nebraska could also be affected. If you are in these areas, keep monitoring the sky throughout the evening. Clouds can shift quickly. The southern plains and Ohio Valley are seeing some very light scattered cloud cover. This will continue to move eastward over the next 24 hours. But here is the good news. We are expecting breaks in these clouds. Even if it looks mostly cloudy in Arkansas, Tennessee, northern Mississippi, or Oklahoma, you might still get clear viewing windows. You just need to be patient and keep checking. Now, for those of you along the East Coast, conditions are looking pretty favorable tonight. Very minimal cloud cover is expected from Maine down through the Carolinas and into Georgia. If you are on the East Coast, you have a great shot at seeing something spectacular, assuming the storm maintains its strength. But here is the frustrating part about the far south, particularly areas like Houston, Texas. Even if the geomagnetic storm is strong enough to make the auroras visible that far south with a camera, there is going to be significant cloud cover in that region. Your chances of actually seeing anything are unfortunately pretty low. But, and I cannot stress this enough, northern light forecasts are incredibly difficult to predict with perfect accuracy. Sometimes the auroras exceed all expectations and put on a show that blows away every forecast. Other times, they underperform and disappoint. The sun is not a predictable machine. It is a massive ball of nuclear fusion with its own schedule. All we can do is give you the best information we have right now and tell you, be prepared, have your camera ready, and keep watching the sky. Here is what you need to do to maximize your chances tonight. First, get away from city lights if at all possible. Light pollution is your enemy when it comes to viewing auroras. The darker your location, the better your chances. If you can drive even 15 or 20 minutes away from urban areas, do it. Second, let your eyes adjust to the darkness. This takes about 20 to 30 minutes. Do not keep looking at your bright phone screen. Give your eyes time to adjust, and you will see more. Third, look north. The auroras will be in the northern sky. Find an area with a clear view of the northern horizon without trees or buildings blocking your view. Fourth, if you have a camera or a smartphone with a night mode, use it. Modern phone cameras are surprisingly good at capturing auroras. Set a longer exposure time if your camera allows it. You might be amazed at what shows up on your screen that your eyes cannot quite see. Fifth, be patient. Aurora activity comes in waves. Just because you do not see anything immediately does not mean nothing will happen. Give it time. Check periodically throughout the evening, especially during that peak window between 9 post-meridium and 1 AM. Now, while the northern lights are the exciting, beautiful part of this event, we need to talk about the serious side of what is happening. This is not just a light show. This is a space weather event with real-world consequences. Satellites in orbit around Earth are being pelted with high-energy particles right now. These satellites control everything from your GPS navigation to your television service to military communications. When satellites get hit by solar radiation, they can malfunction or even fail completely. Engineers around the world are monitoring their satellite systems very carefully tonight. GPS systems could experience degradation. If you are driving tonight and using GPS navigation, there is a small chance you could see errors or loss of signal. It is unlikely to be catastrophic, but it is something to be aware of. Aviation is being affected. We already mentioned the radiation exposure risk for polar flight routes, but there is more. High-frequency radio communications, which pilots use especially over oceanic routes, are experiencing blackouts. Airlines are having to reroute some flights and use different communication methods. If you are traveling by air tonight or tomorrow, there could be minor delays related to this. Power grids are also being monitored closely. During extreme geomagnetic storms, the fluctuating magnetic fields can induce electrical currents in long-distance power transmission lines. This can damage transformers and other equipment. Grid operators are aware of the situation and are taking precautions, but in a worst-case scenario with a G5 storm, there could be localized power disruptions. The last time we had a truly major geomagnetic storm was the Carrington event of 1859. Telegraph systems around the world were fried. Telegraph operators reported receiving electric shocks. Some telegraph pylons threw sparks. Paper in telegraph machines caught fire from the electrical surges. Now imagine if something like that happened today. In our hyper-connected, technology-dependent world, we rely on electronics for absolutely everything. Are we heading for another Carrington event tonight? No, almost certainly not. But this is still a significant event, and it is a reminder of just how vulnerable our modern infrastructure is to space weather. Let me give you a sense of the scale of what is happening on the sun right now. The coronal mass ejection, or CME, that triggered this storm is one of the most powerful we have seen in over 20 years. A CME is essentially a massive bubble of plasma and magnetic field that gets ejected from the sun's corona. When that bubble slams into Earth's magnetic field, that is when we get geomagnetic storms. The solar flare that accompanied this CME was also extraordinarily powerful. Solar flares are sudden bursts of electromagnetic radiation from the sun. They travel at the speed of light, so they hit Earth in about 8 minutes. The CME, on the other hand, is made of actual particles traveling much slower, taking 1 to 3 days to arrive. We got the flare, and now we are getting the CME. This is all part of the solar cycle. The sun goes through an approximately 11-year cycle of activity, from solar minimum when it is relatively quiet to solar maximum when it is very active. We are currently in or approaching the peak of solar cycle 25. That means we are going to see more events like this over the next couple of years. But even accounting for that, this particular event is exceptional. An S4 radiation storm is rare. The watches and warnings being issued by NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center reflect just how unusual this is. So tonight, you have a decision to make. You can stay inside, go about your normal evening, and maybe catch a few glimpses out your window. Or you can treat this like the rare event it is, bundle up because it is January and it will be cold, head outside to a dark location, and potentially witness something you will remember for the rest of your life. Now, before we move on, I need to tell you about something else that is coming. Because while we are dealing with this space weather event tonight, there is another major story developing that is going to affect far more people in a very direct way over the next several days. A dangerous winter storm is about to slam a huge portion of the United States. We are talking about significant ice and snow from the southern plains all the way to the east coast. Nearly 100 million people are in the path of this storm. Here is what makes this storm particularly concerning. It is going to hit areas that are not equipped to handle winter weather. When ice and snow hit places like Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, cities that rarely see significant winter precipitation, the results can be catastrophic. The storm begins Friday night. By late Friday evening, wintry precipitation will start developing across Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Freezing rain is expected to stretch from Amarillo back into areas like Dallas-Fort Worth. If you live in North Texas, you need to start preparing now, not tomorrow, now. Why is freezing rain so dangerous? Because unlike snow, which you can shovel and drive on with some care, freezing rain creates a coating of solid ice on everything it touches. Roads become skating rinks. Power lines accumulate ice and snap under the weight. Tree branches do the same thing. When you get significant ice accumulation, you get widespread power outages that can last for days. The forecast is calling for the possibility of over 1 inch of ice accumulation in some areas from West Texas into southern Arkansas and northern Louisiana by Saturday. 1 inch of ice is catastrophic. That is enough to bring down power lines across entire regions. That is enough to make roads completely impassable, even for emergency vehicles. At the same time, heavy snow will be falling across Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas. Some areas could see over 6 inches of snow. Now, 6 inches of snow is manageable in places like Minnesota or Colorado that have the equipment and experience. But in Oklahoma, in Arkansas, these states do not have fleets of snowplows. They do not routinely treat roads before storms. A few inches of snow can shut down entire cities. By Saturday night, the storm will continue moving east and south. Ice accumulation will spread into Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. There is even a possibility of ice reaching as far south as Houston by early Sunday morning. Heavy snow will continue, now affecting Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, and North Carolina. Some of these areas could see several inches, with localized amounts possibly exceeding 6 to 8 inches. By late Sunday, the storm will move offshore and the worst will be over. But the damage will already be done. Power outages could affect hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of people. Roads will be hazardous or impassable for days. Schools will be closed. Businesses will shut down. This is not a minor weather inconvenience. This is a major winter storm that could rival some of the biggest events we have seen in the past decade for the southern states. The probability maps are showing a 50 to 60% chance of at least 6 inches of snow from Oklahoma City to Memphis, Nashville, and into parts of Virginia. When you start seeing probabilities that high this far in advance, you know meteorologists are confident this is going to be a significant event. Here is what you need to do if you are in the path of this storm. First, stock up on essential supplies now. Do not wait until Friday. Get non-perishable food, water, medications, batteries, flashlights. If the power goes out for several days in freezing temperatures, you need to be prepared. Second, charge all your devices, phones, tablets, laptops, portable battery packs. If the power goes out, these might be your only way to communicate and get information. Third, bring in anything that could be damaged by ice. Patio furniture, decorations, anything you care about that is outside should come inside. Fourth, if you have a fireplace or alternative heating source, make sure you have fuel. If you lose power in January, you need a way to stay warm. Fifth, do not travel during the storm unless absolutely necessary. Seriously, the #1 cause of weather-related deaths in winter storms is traffic accidents. It is not worth risking your life to get to work or run errands. Stay home. Sixth, if you do lose power, never use generators, grills, or camp stoves indoors. Carbon monoxide poisoning kills people every single winter storm. Generators go outside, away from windows and doors. Now, why is this particular storm setup so dangerous? It comes down to the track of the low-pressure system and the temperature profile of the atmosphere. Cold air will be in place at the surface across much of the south. But above that cold air, there will be a layer of warmer air. When precipitation falls from the clouds, it starts as snow. It melts as it passes through that warm layer, then it refreezes when it hits the cold air near the surface and the frozen ground. That is how you get freezing rain. It is liquid when it hits surfaces, but it freezes instantly on contact. Ice storms are among the most destructive winter weather events we can experience. The good news, if there is any, is that we have several days warning. This is not a surprise storm. Meteorologists have been watching this develop. Forecast models are in good agreement. We know it is coming. We know approximately when and where. That gives you time to prepare. Over the next few days, you are going to see store shelves emptying as people stock up. Gas stations might run low as people fill up their tanks. That is normal before a major storm. Do not panic, but do not procrastinate either. The impact of this storm will be felt for at least a week after it passes. Even after the precipitation ends, temperatures will remain below freezing in many areas. Ice will not melt quickly. Roads will remain hazardous. Power restoration can take days when you are dealing with widespread damage to the grid. We are going to have detailed updates on this winter storm every single day leading up to it. There is a strong possibility of multiple video updates daily and live streams by the end of the week as this storm unfolds. This is the kind of event that requires constant monitoring and updates. So let me recap what we have covered today, because you have two major weather-related events happening almost simultaneously, and that is unusual. Tonight, right now, a historic geomagnetic storm is in progress. This is a once-in-2-decades event. The northern lights could be visible across most of the United States, potentially as far south as Florida with a camera. The best viewing time is between 9 post-meridium and 1 IM tonight. Get to a dark location, look north, be patient, and have your camera ready. This storm is also causing infrastructure impacts, satellite interference, GPS degradation, aviation communication issues, and radiation exposure risks for polar flight routes. Then, starting Friday night and continuing through Sunday, a major winter storm will bring catastrophic ice and significant snow to a huge portion of the country from Texas to Virginia. 100 million people are in the potential impact zone. Ice accumulations over 1 inch are possible in some areas, which means widespread power outages. Snow totals could exceed 6 inches in multiple states. This is a dangerous, life-threatening storm for areas that are not equipped to handle it. If you are watching this video and you live anywhere from Texas east to the Carolinas and north to Kansas and Missouri, you need to start preparing for this winter storm now. Not Friday, now. Get your supplies, charge your devices, make a plan. And tonight, if skies are clear where you are, go outside and look up. You might witness something truly spectacular. I want to hear from you in the comments. Where are you watching from? Are you planning to go out tonight to look for the northern lights? Are you in the path of the upcoming winter storm? Let me know your location in the comments and I will do my best to give you specific information for your area. This is shaping up to be one of the most remarkable weather weeks we have seen in a long time. Space weather and Earth weather both delivering major events in the same week. Mother Nature is definitely keeping us on our toes. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel because we are going to have extensive coverage of both of these events. Hit that notification bell so you do not miss any updates. We will be posting new information as it becomes available, especially regarding the winter storm as it gets closer. Stay safe out there. Whether you are aurora hunting tonight or preparing for ice and snow this weekend, be smart, be prepared, and take care of yourselves and your families. One more thing before I let you go. The peak of tonight's aurora activity might not happen until after midnight. So even if you check at 9 or 10 post-meridium and do not see much, do not give up. Set an alarm for midnight or 1 a.m. and check again. Aurora activity comes in waves, and sometimes the best displays happen in those late night or early morning hours when most people have already gone to bed. For the winter storm, I cannot emphasize this enough. Do not underestimate ice. I have seen too many people think they can drive on icy roads because they have four-wheel drive or because they are experienced drivers. Ice does not care about your vehicle or your experience. It is physics. When there is a layer of ice on the road, you have almost zero traction. Four-wheel drive does not help you stop or turn on ice. Please stay off the roads during the worst of this storm. And for those of you in areas that might lose power, check on your neighbors, especially elderly neighbors or anyone who might need help. Winter storms can be isolating, and some people might need assistance. A simple check-in can make a huge difference. The weather is an incredible force of nature. Tonight, we get to see the beauty of it with the northern lights. This weekend, we will see the power of it with the winter storm. Both remind us that despite all our technology and modern conveniences, we are still very much at the mercy of natural forces far beyond our control. That is both humbling and awe-inspiring. So go out tonight, look up at the sky. Marvel at the fact that particles that left the sun days ago are now creating a light show in our atmosphere. Think about the incredible chain of events that had to happen for you to be standing on this planet at this moment, witnessing this phenomenon, and then come back Friday and prepare for that winter storm. Get serious about your preparations. This is not a storm to take lightly. I will see you in the next update. Stay weather aware, stay safe, and enjoy the show tonight if you get the chance to see it. This is history in the making.